share a few things when you are preparing your resume. I want to focus specifically on the professional summary part of your resume, which a lot of people don't know what to write inside here. So essentially, the professional summary is to wow the employer. And how do you normally wow the employer? You will normally write down 1 or 2 big results that you have produced in your previous role. Okay, so that's what's going to get them to sit up and pay attention to you. And some people will say this is what will differentiate you from the rest of the candidates. So this is not a section for you to put in words like results driven, proven track record, highly accomplished, highly motivated, because we have all seen this over and over again. So one shortcut, okay, which is to open up Google, okay, and then you type something like this, right? Professional summary, or sometimes it's also known as career objective, right? Professional summary for risk manager. Okay, so you can see there's a couple of things that will pop up. So you can use this as an inspiration to write your own aspects, right? Your own stuff. So research. So what did you research? So this is a good place for you to get some ideas on what to write inside of your resume. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. So this professional summary section is something that you will have to write. Usually we do it at the end of the whole summary, the resume writing process, to capture, you know, like 2 or 3 or 4 things that you've done in your career that's really outstanding. And it's also meant to be in a single paragraph. Okay, single paragraph. It's not meant to be multiple bullet points. So please take note of this. It has to be a single paragraph. Normally between 50 words to 70 words is more than acceptable. Now, one other thing that I've noticed when people do the professional summary is they tend to go a bit long. And you see what happens when you start to go long. I'm going to zoom out a bit so you can see this much better. I want you to look at what happens to work history. So you notice work history keeps getting pushed down, isn't it? And this is not the practice. This is not the standard that HR are looking at. What we want is we want your work history to start by the halfway point of your first page. Okay, so this is what I mean by halfway point. Right? You can go a little bit lower, that's fine, but anything lower than that, you know, if you were to go much lower, where people can't really see your work history, it's not really good. Yeah, so you have to take note of that. So when you see this section over here, the template, if you're following the one given by Alvigor, will have numbers and bullet points. So decide whether you want to keep numbers or you want to use bullet points. I generally tend to prefer bullet points. And you are free to increase the number of bullet points. You have to do your own template editing here to add another row over here if you feel like there's a lot more things that you want to add. So for this one, the suggestion is to search for keywords, right? Search for keywords which are related to your own particular role. Okay, for if you have attended our training, I think this would have been quite clear to you. So we avoid using things like punctual, discipline, energized, highly motivated, communication skills, Microsoft. You know, we don't put those things in. We put in words which are firstly in the job description, right? The keywords, or you do your little own homework on what that role is looking for. All right, everyone. So last bit would be you can actually add one more section here, okay, which we didn't provide in our template, which is accomplishments or achievements, which you can also put. So for some of you who are quite new in your career, new meaning maybe less than 10 years, you might find it a bit of a challenge to, you know, make this whole page go down to the lowest part, right? So our expectation is when a candidate sends a resume, it has to be 2 full pages like this. So your last section should end here. So you have a lot of things to write. So you have to play around with the number of bullet points that you're putting in to your resume. Number of bullet points, right? So I generally like 5 bullet points, and you need to make sure that the statements in your bullet points are what we call impact statements, right? So you would have to put things like achieved 10% increase in customer satisfaction. Okay, so this is a super basic one, but this is what we will also call a value enhanced resume statement, right? So what is not very good is you just list down all the tasks, right? I did this task, I did this task. This doesn't really work very well, because remember, a resume, right, is essentially like a document to show them the results that you have produced for your previous organization. So how do you do that? The first step is, of course, to think about what were all the activities that you did in your organization, right? Then you think about, okay, so those activities, how did it essentially value add to my organization, or the KPIs? So there's a little bit more thinking to do in that sense. So that is why it is very different from a CV, a curriculum vitae, which is usually just a listing of all the things you have done before in the past. So a resume, we actually help the person looking at it to know what to look at, right? So we are directing them, okay, look at me, I've done this, I've done this. So you have to think about the results that you have produced in your career, your job. So if you're finding this difficult, then I think that's when you need to go for more training. You need to really get a professional coach, a career coach, to sit down with you to discuss these things, because they do require a lot of thinking through to be able to craft these items out. Okay, but the good news is after you've done it once, you will get the hang of it. And also, if you go to our Alvigor website, right, Alvigor website, alvigor.com, we have a blog, and in the blog, okay, in our blog section, try to look for this thing called action verbs. So we have compiled all of the good words that you can use for your resume writing, especially when you are doing the first word of your resume, right? The resume statements, they need to be firstly in the past tense. Some HR can be quite unforgiving if your grammar is off, your spelling is off. To them, this is a no-no, it's a red flag, because you didn't do your checks before you sent it in. So make sure it's always in the past tense, right? Monitored, supplied, right? It has been the past tense. And it's good to vary the words so that it's not all achieve, accomplish. It gets a bit boring after a while. Okay, so these are like the really quick tips for you to get your resume done. Okay, so that would be the first round, right, when you do it. Then subsequently, you need to make sure you read the job descriptions, look at what exactly they are asking for, pick up the keywords, shift your skills section, shift the professional summary, add some of the keywords, so that when they look at your resume, it looks like you have custom written it for that job that you are applying for, and it's not some generic resume, which is what a lot of people do. So if you do that, you're not going to have a strong chance, I would say. So increase your odds of success by ensuring that you make these little adjustments. And with that, I wish you all the very best in your job search.